Hi everyone, this is Dr. Jane and welcome to our first episode of A Planet Among the Stars of 2023. I am so happy to be back with all of you and talking about what's going on in our skies, because I took a little break for the holidays and man, a lot of stuff happened. So let's talk a little bit about what's been going on. We are going to talk today about the intersection of Capricorn season, the Mercury Retrograde that's happening in Capricorn, and also the full moon in Cancer that just happened, and how all of these energies are combining and how their themes are overlapping, and how we can use these aspects and these energies in our lives to help move ourselves forward into 2023, into this new year. So let's start off a little bit with Capricorn, because we've got a lot of Capricorn stuff happening. Okay, so first off, the sun did move into Capricorn on Yule, the winter solstice in December, on December 21st. And when the sun moved into Capricorn, it actually made the fourth celestial body to be in Capricorn. So at the beginning of Capricorn season, we started off with the sun, Pluto, Mercury, and Venus all in Capricorn. It was a lot of Capricorn energy that was happening. So this may have come as a very stark contrast to Sagittarius, because they are very different energies, Capricorn and Sagittarius. And so let's talk a little bit about that, because that's also going to feature pretty heavily in our Mercury retrograde discussion. So Capricorn is the cardinal earth sign. Okay, so it is like King Earth. It is the earthiest of the earth signs in some ways. And so Capricorn is also ruled by the planet Saturn. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about Saturn because of Saturn's retrograde last year. And Saturn is the planet of restriction, but of boundaries, of structure. And in that way also of tradition. And so this energy is featured really heavily in Capricorn because that is its ruling planet, and it also combines with the earth aspect of Capricorn, right? Because things like structure, boundaries, and tradition are very earth element aspects as well. So these features are strongly prominent in Capricorn energy. Capricorn energy, the strengths of Capricorn energy include follow through, commitment, very reliable, and very steady and stable. Also a certain element of traditionality, right? And also boundary holding. Capricorn energy is excellent for holding boundaries. And so, anytime you're looking for things like reliability, responsibility, commitment, follow through, that is very Capricorn energy. And so Capricorn season is going to really emphasize these things. When the sun, that filter goes across the sun's light, that light is going to be carrying that filter of that energy, right, for the whole season. And so this is going to really bring home to us, what are our responsibilities and are we fulfilling them? And highlight these areas in our lives. Now, Capricorn energy has some vices, just like all the signs, right? All the signs have some vices. And Capricorns, the flip side to all this responsibility and reliability, commitment, follow through, right? The flip side to that is that Capricorns can become almost too hidebound, too rigid. Rigidity is a danger in Capricorn energy, and rejection of anything other than our individual perception of reality, right? So an adversarial right versus wrong element can come in, and an inflexibility to intuition, and an inflexibility to alternative perceptions of reality. Now, these are the things that we want to watch out for in Capricorn energy. And so on the one hand, we're using this energy to see where do we need to be a little more grounded in reality? Where do we need to be a little more honest with ourselves? Come out of illusion. Okay, so Capricorn energy is not about illusion, but also where do we need to empty our cup? Where do we need to connect with our intuition? Where do we need to let go of the insistence of the rational mind, right? Or the insistence that we are right? So this is a huge element to Mercury retrograde. So Mercury went retrograde in Capricorn on December 29th, I believe, and it will continue through January 18th. So we are right hitting the peak of the Mercury retrograde with this last full moon. So we're right in it. We are in the thick of it. And so remember, Mercury is the planet of communication. It is also the planet of travel in some respect, although it's important to remember that forward motion towards a goal is Mars, right? And it is the planet of the intellect as well. It is the planet of intellectual pursuits and thought processes. Okay, so this Mercury retrograde in Capricorn is going to be really highlighting where are our boundaries with other people? Where are we communicating our boundaries? How strong are we in communicating our boundaries? Can we communicate our boundaries in such a way that is respectful and not aggressive, but is still honoring our choices for ourselves and our needs and what we need, the limits we need to put on our lives. And it is going to also really highlight where we are getting stuck in our thinking. So Mercury in Capricorn is going to really emphasize that rational need to have kind of that rational scientific explanation for things. But there's a lot to this universe that we can't explain rationally. And so this is going to highlight for us, where are we getting tripped up on that? Where are we using our mind? And where are we attached to limiting beliefs instead of letting our intuition guide us? And this is where that full moon is really coming in, because the full moon was in Cancer. And the full moon in Cancer is a watery, emotional moon. And Cancer and Capricorn are opposing signs, which means that they sit across the wheel from each other, and they actually perfectly balance each other energetically. So as earthy and structured as Capricorn is, Cancer is as watery and as fluid, right? So you can see how we're sitting here in this Mercury retrograde in Capricorn, and we are working on things such as communicating our boundaries, right? And our limits and responsibility in communication, as well as seeing where do our own attachments, which are earth, come in to hold us back, where we are convinced that something's not rational or not logical, right? So this is where this Mercury retrograde is really highlighting in our lives. And then in comes this Cancer moon right at the peak of the retrograde, and it's going to bring in a lot of emotion and a lot of fluidity, right? but also a nurturing aspect, which is I really encourage you to tap into. Because at the end of the day, any boundary that we are having, that we are needing to hold, is about caring for ourselves and providing ourselves, nurturing ourselves with what we need. So, this combination of emotion with the structure of Capricorn, with the emphasis on communication with Mercury retrograde, had the potential to really make this full moon one where a lot of emotional communication may have happened, or a lot of communication about things, about emotions, or about aspects that could be emotional may have happened. And so the nice thing is that if we can actually bring these energies into balance, it allows us to really speak in relationships, in particular, very important aspects, things that are very important to ourselves, aspects of our journey that have been really important to us, or underlying reasons why we have particular boundaries that we have, that are really, really deeply important to us. And in balance, we can speak these things with authenticity and love, and without the vice of Capricorn, which can be kind of severe and dry and unforgiving, right? So the nice thing is that Cancer kind of brought in that softness. But so, these energies are still available to work with for the rest of the Mercury retrograde. We have another 10 days of Mercury retrograde to really work with this in our communication. The other aspect, of course, with Cancer is it's very intuitive. Water is the element of our intuition. And so the full moon in Cancer is a very intuitive moon, and gave us this opportunity to really kind of tap into, wait, I'm having dissonance between my mind and my heart, and really illuminate for us, especially in relation to the subconscious, really illuminate for us where we are having that aspect of Capricorn mentality, where we are dismissing or discounting other people's perspectives or ideas, or ways of thinking, ways of believing, that aren't in alignment with our preconceived notions, right? So the risk of the Capricorn energy there is that we are going to dismiss other ways of thinking, believing, and seeing the world as legitimate, as we're going to dismiss them as illegitimate because they don't match ours. But this full moon gave us an opportunity to see where we're doing that. Now, it may have given us this opportunity by bringing us head to head with opposing ways of looking at the world. And then causing us to then there may have been conflict even around those things. But what I encourage you to do is, in both of these cases, is to sit here both with the boundaries and with this kind of aspect of, alternative viewpoints, is to sit there and look inside and really empty your cup and really say, well, what if that alternative way of thinking about things is legitimate? Or what if this communication was actually about this other person's needs and feelings, instead of just kind of doubling down on that sort of Capricorn rigidity right? So we want to avoid the vices at this time and instead utilize the virtues of Capricorn, and be very grounded, right? And steady, and take that responsibility for ourselves and our own growth and progression, and say, okay, where am I contributing to this pattern in my life? Okay, because regardless of how much work you've done or where you are in your journey, this Cancer full moon and Mercury retrograde combo illuminated a pattern of some kind in your life. And it likely had to do with the themes I've been talking about it, but it might not have. And so now what we can do is we can take that illumination and we can then say, using that Capricorn energy of Mercury retrograde, we can use our mind and say, where am I creating this? Where is my responsibility in this pattern? And this is just the optimal energetic time to do that work. So like, what a gift, right? To start off the new year, because this is what's going to allow us to build a totally different year for ourselves. Because until we have that moment where we look at ourselves and say, how am I creating this in my life? How am I responsible for this? We're just gonna create the same thing over and over and over again. So I hope this was helpful to you. And I hope that as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Oh, I'm walking the labyrinth here outside, and both the cedar and the stones are getting to me. But as always, reach out if you have any questions, and I am here to help. So happy new year, and I will be checking in next week. Mars goes direct, and then Mercury goes direct, and we've got all the planets going direct, and it's just gonna be an awesome party. So until then, happy stargazing.